Okay, this is a tutorial, a class on getting buyer clients, buyer lead generation, buyer prospecting. And this is obviously mostly focused on residential, uh, residential home buyer prospecting, but it applies for to commercial as well. And my name's Steve Wagner. This is a part of Virtual Properties on-demand learning, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm going to ask you to get a notepad and let's take some notes because we're going to go over not just 15, it's actually 19. So first tip I want to give everybody, this notion about being a secret agent, that's only for James Bond. You want to be the opposite. You want to take the script and flip it. And it's basically the more that you can, the more you can be known, and the better off you are. And so don't underestimate. This isn't one of the 19 I'm going over, but this could be number 20 here. You will get buyer leads and seller leads if you'll wear your name tag, and you'll wear like clothing that does imply that you are a real estate agent. But the name tags, especially the more bling they have, attracts people's attention, and it's a numbers game, and a certain amount of people will say, hey, you're in real estate. The next thing you know, the key things, you need to be very happy and very friendly when you're wearing these name tags around. You want to pass out as many business cards as you possibly can. So don't skimp on very inexpensive things, and it's about getting in a habit of wearing your name tag and handing out your business card wherever you go. It's a big time numbers game. You should be going through at least a box of 500 cards at least once a quarter. Now, if you want to go to VPR Central, go to resources, VPR marketing resources. We have so many hyperlinks. We have done a lot of the legwork, and so many vendors have our logos and samples that you can take a look at. So please go there and check things out. So we've said this time and time again, 87% of all people who try to get in the real estate business, well, they fail. They fail for one of two reasons. Either they don't know what to do, or they do know what to do and they're not doing it. The goal of this tutorial is to eliminate the possibility of number one, that you don't know what to do. And I think we're going to eliminate. So then that's going to put the pressure on you, because you'll know what to do, but why are you not doing it? Well, people come up with all the excuses in the world, and I don't want you to be one of those people. So we'll worry about the second part later on, but this part, the goal is to make sure you at least know what to do. And so we have a PDF version of what you're going to learn in this, all on one piece of paper. Actually, there's only 15 of the 19, but you can find it by doing a search on VPR Central. It should be easy to find. So recommendation to newer agents: get a few buyer sales under your belt first. Acquire your buyer leads first. That's why we're making this video. Before I do the video, the prospecting video for sellers, I'm doing it for the buyers. Once you put 2 or 3 buyer transactions under your belt, I think you're a lot better set up to handle sellers. Sellers, you have to ask for the business, so you have to get them to sign an agreement. Up front, I should say, you have to get a signed agreement. Buyers too, but you have to get it up front and you have to ask for the money. Buyers are just happy all the time. It seems like a free service, so it's a lot easier for those reasons and many other reasons. We'll have deeper focus, deeper dives into some of these techniques we're going to go over. Most of you, remember I said you have to have some resourcefulness. You can't have everybody connect every single dot. So I'm trying to stimulate some ways that you can get all the business you need. I do believe in having a business plan, but I don't think that you should spend an inordinate amount of money on a business, or time, on a business plan, when really all you need to do is get a few buyer clients and get some sales under your belt. That's more of a priority rather than spending a lot of time trying to create this real highly professional business plan, one that you would need to submit to a lender, if you're trying to get a big-time business loan. There's plenty of time to sharpen that saw later on. I do think once you cross maybe the $75,000 a year mark, I do think you need to take the planning more serious. But you do need to have a plan of attack. Don't get me wrong. You got to have a plan of attack. We have a good business planning video. If you go to VPR Central and search it, it's all you need. There's actually two different types of business plans here. Now, prospecting is the most hated part of real estate, but it's the most highest paying action you can take. When you are a great prospecting, if you're prospecting the way you should be, while you're prospecting, you are making more money per hour than a brain surgeon or a heart surgeon. And that is an absolute fact. But nobody wants to do that. It's interesting. The golden rule of real estate is he or she who can prospect, well, they rule. If you can't prospect or won't prospect, you'll be most likely working for someone who can, that is, and you'll most likely be forced to surrender 30 at the very bare minimum to 60% of your income to those who can. Okay, so and just so you know, even Zillow is now 35% referral fee. So's Opcity. So it very rarely you can get a really high quality, and I don't even call those aren't even referrals. Those are hot prospects. So you've got to get to really know that you can survive and do well and make money, control your time, control yourselves. You need to be able to prospect. Now, at the heart of all this is you need to get yourself a smart CRM. You're in luck with your virtual properties because virtual properties give you sync for free, and you can get KV Core for $15 a month. You need to really work hard at social media. I don't get in a lot of social media in this tutorial, but that is one of the ways that many of the agents of today are getting a lot of their both buyers and sellers. And I'm not talking about using Facebook for marketing. That's a different thing. I'm just talking about having a personal page and a business page and working the sphere of influence by heavily really working at social media. There are techniques, and we're going to go over those in deeper dive videos. But I'm trying to give people, some other ideas outside of that, and so forth. So, and then remember, I have another tutorial on building your pro forma through what I call connections. Some people think the number is 45, some think it's 40, or some think it's 50. But what this means is that you need to be reaching out to as many people as you can, not the same person over and over again, not somebody you already know the answer to it. It's no, they're not ready yet. But you need to be able to reach out in a logical, intelligent manner. And for every person you reach out to and say something along the lines, you have a conversation and ultimately get around to the saying, or the question, are you going to be buying or selling now or in the near future? And they'll either say yes or no. Then if you really want even better results, then you'll say, oh, okay, well, great. Do you happen to know anyone, any of your friends, family members, people you work with, that might be buying or selling now in the near future? There's a lot of training on that simple concept and how to maximize it, but really the magic number rests between 40 and 50, and you can succeed and get all the buyer and or seller clients in the world if you just are able to talk to enough people and ask them those questions. Now, another thing you'll want to do is utilize time blocking and day planners. This is the heart of all this stuff, is making sure you have these types of things there. And time blocking is just making appointments out of the most important things. In this case, it's prospecting. Here's a kind of a picture of some graphics that you can get. If you go to our VPR Central Marketing Resources page, you can set up your Facebook and have it look really, really professional like that. But we're talking about the CRM, the Sync and the KV Core, and it's more than CRM. It's a whole business management platform. We'll always call that the soil. It's kind of the foundation of your crop. Imagine your career being a crop. Well, it starts with the soil. So look where that red arrow is. And that is your Sync, your KV Core, that is your CRM and business management platform. Well, once you have that set up, you're trying to get leads. And I'm going to have another little thing on leads here in a second and describe what is a lead versus a prospect and versus a referral. But right now, I'll just keep it simple. You want to put every name and number of anybody you know that knows you, and you want to get to know and have connections, meet them for the first time, get them into your CRM. When you and I call these leads, they're basically the seeds that you put into the CRM. Now, you know, if you put names and numbers, which are leads, in soil or in your CRM, they're not going to do anything unless you do something to kind of, reach out to them a little bit. Well, most of these good platforms like Sync and KV Core have automation, things like drip campaigns. Well, so while you're sleeping, while you're working, you're not doing it. It's doing a lot of the work for you really well. Okay. And that's very important. Now, I call the fertilizers when you are proactive. Usually the most proactive thing is you can call somebody. That is the number one thing. Of course, you can mail postcards and you can visit them. There's a lot of techniques there too, but it's hard to really pull this together completely without talking to them. But we're asking you to be proactive, reach out and touch somebody, okay? And if you can do those things, then that's what your career. That's a very beautiful career right there. That's a beautiful farm. And then you'll harvest it, and then you go to the closing, and that's where you make your money. So that's kind of the lead generation process, and a lot of, as it reflects to a lot of these techniques we're going to go over. I also want you to go to the tech page there, and then there's Sync info page, there's KV Core info page. So go check those things out, and you can get all the information you need on how to utilize those CRMs and a lot of other ideas. Those are lead generation machines right there. That's really all you need to know. I could pretty much end it. Hey, go to get a Sync and or KV Core or KV Core platform. Watch all the videos and do what they say, and you'll be a smashing success. That's about as simple as it gets. But successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. And again, we keep saying, why do you say that part, that last part? Well, you want it to be hard, because the harder it is, you have to have belief in yourself that you'll do what other people won't do. You're not lazy. You're not totally afraid. If you may be a little afraid, but you are brave enough to work through it. And you'll have to rely on the fact that a lot of people aren't as strong as you. Okay, so let's go into number one buyer lead generation or prospecting technique. Here we go. Well, I tell you, you need to go to our lease purchase division. We have just launched that in the last few months, and Sherry Pritchett is kind of watching over this. If you go to VPR Central, go to divisions, lease purchase depot, we have a lot of information. We have regular classes, probably about once a month, on utilizing lease purchase things. There are organizations out there that if you can get a good lease purchase person, a customer, they will cash you out up front with your 3% commission. So this is one of the greatest things of all time. If you could leverage this, I think there are people that could just leverage this tool and get all the business they ever need. And we have a division there. We have a broker that's over that. We have ongoing training. We have an entire page devoted to it. All the things you would need is there. So please go check that out. And again, updates, that's where you'll learn about the classes that we have on this. But we want to bring this to our agents. And so the number two way to get buyer leads. Well, the number one step for most agents is to start working on their CRM. Okay, and those are people that I'm kind of looking from the top left corner. These are people that are related to you, or these are people that are closest to you. You start off with that. Okay, now sphere of influence is more than just people related to you and that are closest to you. But you start off with your spouse, your children, closest friends, past clients. You want to make sure you get their names, their addresses, their phone numbers, emails. So then you go to other friends of family. You ask your friends of family. It's a process. We've got. I have a 2-hour video on this where I got with one of our most successful agents in the history of this company, and Mike Biernick, and we spent 2 hours talking about everything you ever want to know and then some on sphere of influence. So there are techniques for getting all these names and numbers, and then you put them into your CRM. And so you're talking about acquaintances, networking contacts, interest groups and clubs, high school, people from your high school, from your college, athletics that you are participating in, maybe your children, your neighbors. You leverage social media, and then going to the right, once you get them into your CRM, your KV Core Sync, you do drip campaigns, you call them, you send postcards, you visit them, you do events, texts out, mailers, those are paper mailers, email. So you're basically branding yourself and doing call to action campaigns. A lot of people, this is where when I talk to Mike Biernick and my wife, for instance, she gets about 80% of her business through sphere of influence. Mike Biernick probably gets about 75% or so of his business through sphere of influence. So that is number 2. And again, we'll have guides on how to do that. If you go there to VPR Guide to Getting Business, there's a 2-hour video with Mike Biernick on how to maximize the sphere of influence. There's no way you can watch that video and not know how to start taking action and getting, buyer leads through SOI, sphere of influence. Number 3, okay? Number 3 is internet leads. Now, why people wouldn't be doing internet leads these days, it's beyond me, okay? We have Sync, and by the way, Sync just came out with a Facebook way of getting effortless leads. That means giving them money, and they do all the work, and the leads just flow in. The reason why we had KV Core, we added KV Core when we already had Sync, is that they had ways that our agents could get what I call effortless leads when Sync at the time did not. So you want to be getting internet leads, and these convert at about plus or minus 1 out of 50. Okay, so I think it's a lot better to pay $5 to $7 to $8 per lead, even at 50. So 5 times that's $250, maybe $300 at the most. If you're buying your leads and making a few calls versus getting these leads from Zillow, Opcity, which you still have to make a good bit of calls, and giving up 30%, 35%. I'm not even going to have Zillow and Opcity, but you can go ahead and put those down for 20 and 21. Zillow and Opcity, and we have buttons on VPR Central on how to get all the information and get hooked up with that as well. But number 3 is internet leads. Again, go to KV Core. You have Google buyer leads. You have Google Facebook leads. Okay. They say it's at $10 to $18 a lead, but they're all over from California. They're based out of California, and they're all over the country. We're a little bit cheaper here. So just understand that I have a really great training session by using internet leads called Guaranteed Success. If you go to our VPR prospecting page, it's the up one. It's currently in upper left-hand corner. Number 4, listing marketing. So here's the key. How do I get buyer leads? Well, get some listings and just do your normal marketing. If you do your normal marketing, buyers are going to call. They're either going to be interested and want to pursue your house. Some already have agents, but a lot of them will not. And they don't want to buy your house. Well, they'll say, darn, it just doesn't seem to fit. And you go, hey, would you like me to show you some other property? I think I know a property that would be exactly what you want. They most of the time they'll say, absolutely, love to look at it. There you go. There's your buyer lead. So that's one of the easiest things around is I used to say if you had enough listings, you'd never worry about buyer leads if you're doing some additional marketing. So you can do a property boost right there in KV Core, and again, the leads will start flowing in. And the average was about $5 a lead. So we're only paying $5 a lead, and we're marketing our property, killing two birds with one stone, making our sellers happy, doing our job as a listing agent, and then acquiring buyer leads. And guess what? A lot of these buyer leads, they have to sell a house as well. So you get a seller lead and a buyer lead. So this stuff works. You go to KV Core, Property Boost. All you have to do is spend $200, $250 per listing, and you'll end up getting a buyer lead out of it, and possibly end up selling your listing that way. Let's look at number 5, open house. Oh, tremendous tool if you do it right. Now, I have not made it yet, but I'm going to make a video, and I'm going to have a lot of videos that you can watch them, and they've got this thing down. The old school open house, you'd bring a book and try not to fall asleep. These days, it's a lot more work, but it is a lead generation bonanza. So you'll have to pre-market it. When you say door knock, you're basically just inviting them. You're giving them. You're saying, hey, I got some cookies and refreshments. Please come down here. There's a drawing. And, so you go through a process, and we'll go over all that, do a deep dive into a successful open house. But that is a way you can get unbelievable amounts of buyer leads. Let's take a little intermission here from that. We're going to go over the next 10 after this. But I want to talk about leads. Everybody says they want leads, but I have a theory. People really don't want leads, okay? The reason they don't want leads is that if you get a lead, most likely you have to call, maybe as many as 50, somewhere between 40 and 50 to get a customer. So everybody says, I just want leads. No, what you really think you're saying is you want a referral. And let's go over this. So a target, go there at the top. A target is just a name and number. Basically, cold calling is it's a target. You don't know if there's any inkling whether they might be buying or selling. It's just a start, and it's just a name and number. And if you reach out in an intelligent manner 150 times, you'll probably get a sale. It could be as low as 100 times. So it's between 100 and 150 times. I went a little bit high on the 150 on that one. The internet lead, they cost you between $5 and $10 each, but they bring that thing down by a third. So you go to about 2% chance, about 1 in 50, that they will, if you follow a process, they will end up becoming a sale. These are the statistics. So a target is just that. What's the difference between a target and a lead? A lead is somebody that's been vetted a little bit to where you have some reason to believe that they might be buying or selling now or in the near future. Not a tremendous, but you've done some vetting. You've got some reason to believe. Now, again, an internet lead, the whole thing is they wouldn't be on searching for homes if they weren't in that. That's the logic. If you just pick up the phone and start calling people, cold calling, well, a portion of those people are nowhere near in the market. There's no guarantee that people are. Sometimes people just like to look at houses. So that's the difference between a target and a lead. So then we've got, my arrows aren't there. I thought I had one each one of them. The next one down is a new sphere. A sphere is somebody that you know. Now, there's about a 1 in 33 chance for every sphere you have in your database that if you keep up with them, that there's about a 1 in 33 chance that they will end up being a sale. So the name of the game is to get as many sphere names in your database as possible and stay in contact with them. So a prospect is somebody that you've had in your database, or maybe you haven't had them in a database, but you've known them for a while. And they're a lot hotter because of the knownness of you from them. See, there's an amazing saying. Used to say, it doesn't matter what you know, it's who you know. And that's that. We agree with that, but it really is moved to, it doesn't matter who you know, it's who knows you. Now you can take it to the next step. It doesn't matter who you know, it's who knows you and how they know you. But anyways, that's for another video here. A prospect is somebody that's been branded by you one way, shape, or form better. They know you better. They feel better about you. They have good feelings about you. So that's a prospect. A hot prospect is one of these that has told you, I'm going to be most likely buying now or in the near future. Now we know some of them end up changing their mind, something happens. But then we're moving from a prospect is 1 in 10 or 10%. A hot prospect's about 1 in 3, maybe 1 in 4, between 25 and 34% or so there. A referral, what I call a weak referral, what's the difference between a weak referral and a strong referral? A weak referral is just somebody gives you a name and number. You don't really get much of an endorsement, and that's probably has about a 50% chance of becoming a sale. Now, a strong referral, you can say it's at least 80% to 90% chance that you will get a sale if you get a really strong referral and that these people have been somewhat pre-qualified. That when you start getting the hot prospect referral area, that you are basically pre-qualifying them. All right, so let's get back to number 6. Number 6, geographical target market approach. So what you want to do is you want to pick several neighborhoods or subdivisions, usually around where you live, devise a strategy to become an area expert, devise a strategy to become the dominant agent. And if you do that, you market yourself and brand yourself, they will end up calling you and saying, hey, I want to list my property. Or it may be, hey, I know I've seen a lot about you. I knew you sold my neighbors down the road and they thought highly of you. My daughter's going to be buying a house. Want to see if you also work with buyers. Well, absolutely. So you will get buyer prospects just from being buyer prospects. And also most sellers end up buying as well. So this is the geographical target market approach. And we will have videos that go into detail about how to do that. But it is basically just picking a neighborhood, postcards. It's a combination of postcards, trying to get signs up. It's door knocking sometimes, having open houses. It's a process you work, sometimes just calling. It's a process you work to become the dominant agent in the area and known with a great reputation. That will work. Number 7, another buyer lead generation prospect, just live networking. You want to go as many networking, especially around the holidays. This is great. Going to holiday parties or whenever you can get to a place, instead of dreading going to some of these get-togethers, go there ready to go. Bring your business cards. Wear your name tag if you can. You can be business contact, networking events, personal, community. But go there and talk to people and don't go there and be overly business. Hey, just start asking, hey, I'm Steve Wagner. Hey, what is it? Have a conversation. If you read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, it'll tell you to always become interested in them and make it all about them. See, we have a tendency of wanting to make it all about us. Meet somebody, hey, by the way, I don't know if I'm Steve Wagner. I'm a real estate agent. That's the last thing to do. You find somebody, meet them, talk to them, and make it interesting about them. And after you talk with them for quite a while, you got to be patient with this stuff. Then they usually will ask you, hey, by the way, what you do? Well, I'm in real estate. I'm a real estate agent. See, that's the best way of doing it. Then once they do that, and so you just get better and better. This is a skill to do the live network. I know people that get all their business by just going around and socializing with people. And they work a process that's maybe not natural, but you learn how to do it. And but whether you do it the best process or not, if you just go out and network with people, good things are going to happen. Again, especially if you can wear your name tag and you can hand out your business card. But don't hand out your business card right up front. Remember, the best thing to do is to get interested in other people, and at the end it comes down to you, and you can smoothly ask them. You wouldn't be buying or selling in the near future, would you? Or do you know anyone? Well, so here's the other thing about live networking. That's why you want to have that little notepad, that little small notepad, or you want to record everyone's name, phone number, email addresses. Ask them, hey, I do a quarterly newsletter. I'd love to send this to you. Got a lot of coupons, a lot of helpful tips on what you can do to your house to bring back the most value. You'll possibly have all the statistics in your area about what's happening. Let me get your email address and name, and I'll go and get you on that. And so that's how you do it as well. Or you can Just take their name and number and start to connect with them through social media. And that's another thing. All right, we're moving to number 8. Number 8 is call lists. I tell you one thing, without these lists, I probably wouldn't be here today. When I first got into real estate in 1989, the company I worked for, I knew nothing. I was on a 50% split. All I did was work with buyers at the time. And they would give me a copy of the Chamber of Commerce list. And I gave it to all the agents, but I was the only one that called them. So I was calling people from all over the country. The Atlanta Chamber of Commerce had lists of people that indicated they were coming to Atlanta, and the Chamber of Commerce would send them a welcome package of lots of information. And so I would end up calling the list, and I converted a bunch of them. And but there's a lot of reload lists you can get out there, and I would try to find as many lists. You can buy lists of people that are relocating through a lot of different sources, and you'd be surprised how few people will actually call them. And that was my number one way that I succeeded to start off with. And I got to where I was in triple figures pretty quick with that being my number one way to get buyers. Now, this is pretty obvious one, sending postcard mailers to apartment complexes. That's an excellent way. If you can ever get into networking events at apartment complex, a lot of times you can. Some apartment complexes will even let you be a sponsor for some like pool parties and things like that. But I'm mostly focusing on mailers to apartment complexes. And this, I'll tell you what, combining that with the first one, the lease purchase option, well, that's gold right there. So that's number 9. It's worked since I've been in business for 31 years. For all the ones I've gone over, I've known somebody that specialized, and they were the guru at these things. Probably because it lit their fire, and they just used resourcefulness and became really good at it. But I know all the 9 so far are ways I've known people that have probably used that as their number one tool for selling 20 or more houses a year. Let's go to number 10. Establish an alliance with leasing agents. Now, I just said we're kind of in that same area. I was talking about actually doing mailers, postcards to tenants at apartment complexes. This is a different way. Go around and get to know leasing agents, and it's there. It isn't easy because some of them don't want to work with you or whatever. They're restricted from working with you. But I've always known that there are leasing agents, and if you can pay them a referral fee, especially I've gotten a lot of them to go ahead and get their license, and that will allow us to pay them up to a 20, 25, 30% referral fee. So leasing agents are a tremendous source. It's been around for a long time. Some people turn their nose up to it, don't use it, but I know people that make that their number one way to get business. Just very similar to that is working with new home sales agents. Same thing. Some will want to work with you, some will not want to work with you. But go there and try to make contacts, because they're going to try to sell their stuff first. But if it looks like that they're not going to be interested in what they're the new construction there, then you can get some business that way, and possibly pay them a referral fee, possibly just get them a nice little gift that's within the allowable range of the Georgia Real Estate Commission. But I do know people that really get a lot of business from new home agents. Number 12. This is another one that later on in my career, probably within my 5th, 6th, 7th year, this was one of my top 2 or 3. I had a buyer. I actually got him from the list I was calling. Somehow or another, I was able to get a buyer relocating in to Georgia, and he was relocating in as being a very high-level executive at a small company. I say medium-sized, because it's not like a big Fortune 500 company, but they probably had 300, 400 employees, but they had 1 or 2 transferring out every month and 1 or 2 transferring in every month. And I'll tell you what, I had about a 2-year ride with this particular company, and then I was able to really get with the corporation's HR department. And I was getting calls, hey, I've got a couple buyers coming in. Will you show them houses? Hey, I've got some, that HR person really appreciated me and I appreciated them because I was kind of like a tool for their company and keeping their people happy. I would make it, when they had to sell, I make it real easy and smooth for them. When they were coming in, I was kind of like a tour guide, got them pumped up about the area. But yes, I probably sold 20 to 30 houses from from like a 300 to 400 employee company that had other branches throughout the country, like say 3 or 4 branches, and they like to move people around a lot. So corporate relos, that takes some work, but if you can get that, that's really, really great. Number 13, well, agent networking. That's part of the reason why I'm a NAR member. I'm actually an NAR director, a GAR member. I go to the GAR convention, I go to the NAR convention, and I go to all our local realtor functions. So you're a member of the local, the state, and the national. And there's nothing that says you can't join multiple boards. But I do have some friends that are, I won't mention her name, but she's the current president. I was president last year. She's now the president. And she told me she gets about somewhere between at least a third, if not half of her business from networking with other agents out around the country. It's a process you have to work. You have to talk to people, hand out your card, maybe do follow-up, great meeting, little note cards, and things like that. Keep up with them on social media. There's a process to this, folks, and this is a tremendous way to get buyer referrals. Okay, and we're not going to go into detail, but I bet we can make a great video on what would be a tremendous attack plan at doing this. But you got to be resourceful. I'm sure you're probably getting some ideas just by about what we've said already. All right, going to number 14. This one's another one. I know a lot of people. They team up with a lender, maybe a home inspector, and maybe a warranty company in some cases, and maybe their closing attorney will participate in some way, shape, or form. But they put on these buyer seminars and home buyer seminars, and there's a process to be worked on this. None of this stuff is easy, but they all work if you work it. And so I do know some agents that is where they get probably at least a third of their business from doing seller and buyer seminars. Number 15, garage sale and estate sales. Well, here's the deal. Whenever there's a garage or estate sale, it's a good clue that person's probably going to be selling their house and possibly them buying as well. So when you go to that, it's just a networking function. If you go and hang out, you're going to run into people that way. And so it's worked for a lot of our agents. And so I threw that on there as well. So let's go over 16, 17, 18, and 19, okay? Well, 16, they all involve either using Sync or KV Core. So either one, they both have all these capacities. They have a client IDX search app. I think Sync calls it ETA app, and I think maybe KV Core calls it Millions Mapped, but it's an IDX app that you can send to them. They can download it, and then they have all the pricing and all the pictures, all the virtual tours. Beautiful thing about that is it keeps your picture and your contact information always there, and it always asks them, hey, if you want to look at this house, I'll be, call me or text me. So if you can give it to them, then they become a lead inside your CRM, and that, and then that's great. So the registration app, it's really called the Open House app, but I feel like they shouldn't have called it that, because you can use it even at, let's say, a fall festival. What an incredible thing this is. If you have a drawing at a fall festival, just ask them to punch in their name, phone number, and email address for a $100, $150 drawing, and or you can give them something. All they got to do is put their name, phone number, and email address. If it's at a fall festival, most likely that's an area that you work. About 80% of the people that go to fall festivals live in that general area. So, things like that. So it's a registration app. It's also used for open house. Instead of doing paper, they punch their name, phone number, and email address right in there, and boom, it falls right into your CRM. And then then they're connected as well, and you can see what houses they're looking at. You can see if they're active, if they're not active really great tool. The registration, actually, I was talking about the IDX thing at that point. The registration app is a great one, but combined with the IDX search app. Now, there are texting features you can get in both Sync and KV Core and in Agent Marketing, and that's basically, instead of using a flyer, you can get a flyer sent to them. All the information they need there. You can get leads by a variety of ways using texting features. If you can induce them or entice them with some sort of offer, some kind of a free, maybe a DVD or a video or a pamphlet on the 7 steps to this or the 7 steps to that. There's so many ways that you can lead gen using texting features. It's not funny. So landing pages as well. There might be dozens and dozens of types of landing pages. As you look at the thinking of buying a home, you need to read this guide. You see that one on the left there, where they they would punch in, and then as soon as they punch it in, the whole nature of a landing page is it does all the work for you. It's nothing you have to keep up with. You have either a guide, and it's a video or a PDF. They put their name, phone number, and email address, push send, and they download it, or it emails it to them immediately. It can go either way. To the right is a kind of example of the registration app as well. So those are ways, those are techniques that people are using to generate buyer leads. And again, go to Tech and Sync and KV Core. You'll learn more about those products, and you'll have the ability to be able to register. You can see on the yellow, the highlighted yellow, you just click the hyperlinks, whether it's Sync or KV Core, and we can get you an account. So why might I fail at getting buyer leads? Well, one of the bigger problem is what we call TMI, too much information. Like that, like those pictures there with the big maze up on the upper right-hand corner, or this guy making it looks like quantum physics. It's not that hard, folks. You've got to keep it super simple. I gave you 19 different ways. You should probably only use 3 to 5. See, what's better than trying to master 19 ways? That's why you would fail. There's too many choices, too much information. I wanted to give you some chances so you wouldn't be able to say, hey, I don't like any of them. You just got to pick 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 5. Don't go any more than 5. Because if you try to go more than 5, you're going to fail. So pick maybe 3 of the ones that sound the best, and then try to really maximize, try to knock that one out of the park. Let's say if you put 3, and you could get 1 lead a month by using these techniques, just 3. That's 36 buyer transactions a year. Okay, so that's the best way of doing it. Strong advice. The most intelligent approach is to choose 3 to 5, 5 max. Try to obtain 1/2 to 1 sale per method per month. We just talked about that. Do not try to incorporate all 15, really 19 of those. Why might I fail? Reason 2, fear. Well, you won't leave your comfort zone. So according to Brian Tracy, move out of your comfort zone. You can only grow if you're willing to feel awkward and uncomfortable when you try something new. If you're afraid of looking awkward, feeling awkward, or being uncomfortable, then you're going to have a hard time succeeding. Your comfort zone is a beautiful thing, but nothing ever grows inside your comfort zone. You just get weaker and weaker. So you're going to have the magic happens. Success happens when you leave your comfort zone. So, as the Lion says, or our jiu-jitsu slogan is, jiu-jitsu, if you took it, you never lose. You either win or you learn. And so Les Brown says too many of us are not living our dreams because we're living our fears. So procrastination or denial is because of fear, and you gotta get over it. What's another reason why you might not, after hearing about these 19 different ways? Again, all you have to do is take 3 and do a half each one, and you're gonna be at the $1 Million Club at one of the top 5 or 10% of all agents if you just do that. Well, the SOS, as we call it, You remember the TMI. Now we're talking about the SOS. What's SOS? Well, shiny object syndrome. So, again, it's that squirrel, the dog that's just constantly distracted by the squirrel. Warning, easily distracted by shiny object. I know a lot of agents that are they want the silver bullet. They want the easy button. The easy button doesn't exist. So the easy button, if you want to give up half your commission, it becomes somewhat easy, but then you have to do double the transactions. The secret sauce. So this is it. You gotta realize and really come to grips with yourself that you've got to pay a price. Okay. The reason for is laziness, and there's a lot of people. Sometimes it's hard to say whether people aren't acting because of laziness or is it because of fear. Laziness is nothing more than a habit of resting before you're tired. Tomorrow is the only day in the year that appeals to a lazy man. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even if you don't want to do it. So if you're going to have self-control, that's balance, calmness, determination, confidence, willpower. So laziness kills a lot. And then what concept 5, why might I fail? Lack of patience. You can't be desperate. You can't, you got to be determined patience. You've got to be extremely determined, extremely active, but patient at the same time. So somewhat of a paradox. Time is either your best asset or worst enemy. Well, we want to use time to your advantage. So you've got to be like the tortoise. The tortoise, you will always win the race if you can be like the tortoise. Number 6, why might I fail again? Well, sometimes we just don't have the right support group. Sometimes it's our family, our spouse, or some key people in our lives that are really, are really not helping us at all. Sometimes we're just hanging around a bunch of losers. We could be good people, but they just don't have the champion. And you're trying to be, it's the 90-10 rule, folks. You have to be the 10% that does 90%. So you have to hang around people that are on the same mission as you, that support you. They're not the type that you're about to do that you've made a prospecting time block, but then they're really giving you a hard time because you won't go to the pool with them. You become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. Choose carefully. Another saying is it's hard to hit a home run in life or get a big hit in life if you have to drag your spouse around the bases. So, and I've been with that before where I didn't have the best people. Here comes number 7. Why I fail after those 19. Lack of proactive resourcefulness. Success is related to specific actions. Successful people do not stop all the time to move. They make mistakes, but they never give up. So, and as Tony Robbins says, it's not the lack of resources that cause failure. It's the lack of resourcefulness that causes failure. So notice we'll have to put some pieces together. That's about being resourceful. You can't rely on everyone else answering every single question. We've given you a lot to go by. You have to pick up the ball and go with it. I think it's getting down to the last reasons why a lot of people won't invest. You either have to invest 2 things. You have to invest your comfort. It means you have to leave your comfort zone and be uncomfortable, or you have to invest cash. But some people don't want to leave their comfort zone. They don't want to pay any cash. They're left with nothing. The law of sacrifice says to attain something greater value, one must give up something lesser value. So obtain success, you must invest a little of cash or comfort, and that's it. If it's cash, you give maybe $250, $300 up front, or you can give up thousands of dollars, 35%, more than a third of your income at the end. You're going to give it up one way or the other. All right, well, that is it. Hopefully this has helped you working with buyers. Take about 3 of these things and go hard after it and see if you can get at least a half a transaction a month to start off with it, and ultimately get it to where it can be 1 transaction a month. All right, go seize the moment.